I am here today to say to Canadians to avoid travel to the United States if at all possible, and to call our government to stand up for our Canadian citizens who are being denied their rights by arbitrary detention in the United States today. Canada must stand up for our citizens and for the rule of law.
Germany and the UK have now issued travel advisories for the United States, and Canadian politicians are now urging Canadians to avoid travel to the United States if at all possible, and saying that people are being denied their rights through arbitrary detention. And this notably comes after Customs deported a French scientist for apparently not liking Trump, and also after a German green card holder who's lived here since 2007 was reportedly violently interrogated, stripped naked, and put in a cold shower at Boston Logan. Additionally, 2 other Germans were detained in other airports, and one was detained for 6 weeks and placed in solitary confinement. And it just seems like it gets worse and worse. There's so many stories. Another incident was when a Canadian woman was detained by ICE for 2 weeks in a cage because she had an error on her paperwork, with her reportedly shackled, thrown in a van, sent to Arizona, kept awake, and not allowed to contact a lawyer. Because the system's seemingly so broken, this woman reportedly had no recourse to get out of the ICE prisons until her family contacted the media. But they're also claiming there were hundreds of other women in the prisons and cells she was held in who have been stuck there for months with no way home, and the Trump administration won't give them due process, so they're just stuck there indefinitely. Then in another incident, a British woman reportedly who was in the US legally traveled to Canada, but upon entry, she was told she needed a different visa and to go back to the US. And then when she approached the US border that she just crossed minutes earlier, they classified her as an illegal alien and detained her for 10 days. You also had reports a professional soccer player from Venezuela who coaches youth soccer and was in the US legally was sent to El Salvador's prisons without due process because ICE allegedly mistook his Real Madrid tattoo for a gang tattoo, which if true, seems like yet another example of why having due process is a great thing. Right? Seemingly maybe why the founders found it so important that they made it the Fifth Amendment. Follow to stay in the loop.
So I've canceled my next trip to the United States. I was meant to be going there in later April. I was looking forward to it as well, like going to Boston, New England, beautiful places, lovely people. In fact, I even have both friends and actually some relatives in Maine, but I've canceled it because ICE or whatever the hell it is detaining people. I mean, they detained a young Canadian for 10 days. They apparently arrested a bunch of Germans recently. They're going through people's phones. Like, this is meant to be, the United States is meant to be the beacon of democracy and freedom and so forth. Well, it is anything but. This is what fascism actually looks like. It is awful in North Korea, and it is awful in Saudi Arabia, and it is awful in Iran. So we can all be honest about that. But when that sort of thing settles in to what we consider to be the free world, that is the erosion of any value that we actually stand for. So I bring business to the United States, right? I run tours. Well, I'm not going to now. It's shocking, but I woke up 3 days in a row worrying about flying down there. And then I talked to someone I know kind of on the inside who said, don't fly in if you're not an American citizen. Like, this is how terrible it is at the moment. So it's sad and it's shocking, but hey, I'm off to Europe in a few days. I can fly down to South America, a lot of beautiful places. And American friends are welcome up here, absolutely. But if you're gonna come up and wave a Trump flag, then, don't bother.
So Canada just warned its citizens not to travel to the United States because there's too much risk of illegal detention. Because people are being stopped at the border, they're being detained illegally, they're being fingerprinted, they're having their phones looked through. And if they don't like what's on the phone, they'll use that to detain you. People are being put in ICE detention facilities like that. I can't believe this is happening. Canada is our neighbor, our friend, our ally. Have been for a really long time, and they're just... If you're Canadian and you're seeing this, please know that they don't represent all of us. That most of us are horrified by this. I don't know what else to say. Things are happening really fast. Things are getting really bad really fast.